Wiki Wednesday in Pupper, Highland, and today we are talking about giraffes. Daddy likes giraffes, and that's probably why I have several giraffe stuffies. If Daddy likes them, they must be pretty cool, right? Giraffe facts for kids. A giraffe is a mammal which lives in Africa. Giraffes and okapi are the family Giraffidae. Daddy says Mommy calls okapis acapulcos, but she says he's lying. Giraffes are the tallest land animals. Fully grown giraffes stand 14 to 18 feet tall, with males taller than females. Giraffes have an even number of toes. They live on the savanna, which is the African grassland, or in light woodland. They do not live in thick forests where it is difficult to see predators such as lions approaching. Giraffes eat leaves from tall trees and sometimes fruit, which they can reach because of their long legs and long necks. They also feed on shrubs and eat grass. They can go without water for weeks. Puppies, however, should always have access to clean water. Giraffes live alone or in groups. Young male giraffes form small groups until they become mature. Adult males live alone. Females form groups of 4 to 32 animals. When the female is close to giving birth, it leaves the group for a time to give birth to its offspring and comes back 2 to 3 weeks after her baby is born. After a pregnancy of 14 to 15 months, the female gives birth to usually a single baby called a calf. The calf stays with its mother for 1.5 years. Young giraffes become mature when they are 4 years old, and they are fully grown when they are 6 years old. Appearance. The giraffe's coat is made up of brown blotches or patches separated by a lighter hair. Each giraffe has a unique coat pattern. The patches may serve as camouflage since they mimic the dappled combination of light and shade in savanna woodlands. They may also serve as thermal windows, being the site of large blood vessels and sweat glands. The giraffe's fur may serve as a chemical defense, as it is full of antibiotics and parasite repellents that give the animal a characteristic scent. Along the animal's neck is a brown mane of short, stiff hairs, just like mine, except my hairs are soft. The tail has a black terminal tuft and is used to swat flies away. In comparison with other animals such as deer and cattle, the giraffe has proportionally larger eyes, with which it can locate food and distant predators from its great height. Giraffes also have color vision, enabling them to recognize each other. Skull and horns. Both sexes have prominent horns, or ossicones, formed from ossified cartilage and covered in skin. The horns are fused to the skull at the parietal bones. The appearance of the horns is a reliable method of identifying the sex of giraffes. The horns of females display tufts of hair on top, whereas those of males are larger and tend to be bald on top. There is also a median horn, which is more developed in males, at the anterior of the skull. A giraffe's skull is lightened by sinuses. However, as males get older, their skulls become heavier and more club-like, helping them become more dominant in combat. Legs, locomotion, and posture. The front legs of a giraffe are about 10% longer than its hind legs. The radius and ulna of the front legs are articulated by the carpus, which, while structurally equivalent to the human wrist, functions as a knee. True knees exist in the hind legs. The hooves are quite large, up to 6 inches across in males and up to 4 inches across in females. A giraffe only has 2 gaits, walking and galloping. Walking is done by moving the legs on one side of the body at the same time, then doing the same on the other side. The apparent inflexibility of its legs gives it a stiff gait when walking. When galloping, though, the giraffe's front and hind legs work in pairs. The animal brings its hind legs ahead of it and outside its front legs. It then lifts the front legs and pushes off with the hind legs, propelling it forward. That's how I run, too. The giraffe can reach a sprint of up to 37 miles per hour, but cannot sustain a lengthy chase. No fair, they have longer legs than I do. A giraffe prefers to rest lying down with its legs folded underneath its body. To get up, it gets on its front knees and swings its head up with a jerk as the front legs straighten. It then splays its hind legs and raises its hindquarters. The giraffe has one of the shortest sleep requirements of any mammal, averaging only 4.5 or 4.6 hours of sleep per day. It can sleep lying down with its neck folded and its head resting on its rump or hind leg. If it wants to bend down to drink, the giraffe either needs to spread its front legs or bend its knees. Neck. The giraffe has an extremely elongated neck, which can be over 6 feet 7 inches in length, accounting for nearly half of the animal's vertical height. This is so giraffes could reach food that competitors could not. This advantage is real, as giraffes can and do feed to about 16 feet, while even quite large competitors, such as kudu, can only feed up to about 6.5 feet. Behavior and ecology. Habitat and feeding. Giraffes usually inhabit savannas, grasslands, and open woodlands. Giraffes browse on the twigs of trees. They also feed on shrubs and eat grass and fruit. The tongue and lips are tough enough to allow them to feed on trees with sharp thorns. The giraffe's tongue is about 18 inches long and prehensile, so it can grasp leaves and pull them out into the mouth. A giraffe can eat 65 pounds of leaves and twigs daily, but can survive on just 15 pounds. I don't know, even 15 pounds of food sounds like a lot to a 12.5-pound puppy like me. The giraffe requires less food than typical grazing animals because the foliage it eats has more concentrated nutrients and has a more efficient digestive system. The giraffe can survive without water for extended periods. When water is available, it may drink at intervals of 3 days or less. Giraffes can also get water from green leaves, especially when covered in dew. I get thirsty way more often than that. I wonder if giraffes should play around more so they get more thirsty. Social structure. While giraffes are usually found in groups, the composition of these groups is more fluid than other social ungulates. They have few strong social bonds, and groups usually disband every few hours, although calving groups can last weeks or months. Adult males tend to be solitary. Female giraffes associated in groups of roughly a dozen, occasionally including a few younger males. Calves and subadults are rarely alone. Subadult males, in particular, are gregarious and may engage in play fights. This is just how puppies play bite with their siblings. Giraffe groups with young tend to feed in more open areas, presumably to make it easier to detect predators, although it may reduce their feeding efficiency. Although generally quiet and non-vocal, giraffes have been heard to communicate with various sounds. Courting males exhibit loud coughs. Females call their young by whistling or bellowing. Calves bleat, moo, or make mewing sounds. Giraffes also grunt, snort, hiss, make strange flute-like sounds, and communicate over long distances using infrasound. To produce an infrasound signal, a giraffe usually lowers its chin and then quickly raises it. I definitely communicate by barking. It's what makes me cute. Right, Mommy? Parental care. Mothers with calves will gather in nursery herds, usually consisting of 2 or more infants and/or juveniles, and their mothers moving or browsing together. Mothers in such a group may sometimes leave their calves with one female while they travel to other areas. This is known as a calving pool. Males play almost no role in raising the young. The young are vulnerable to predators. A mother giraffe will stand over her young and kick at a predator that comes near. Giraffes only defend their own young. They form calving herds for selfish reasons. A mother has a strong maternal bond with her calf, lasting until her next calving. Necking. Male giraffes use their neck to hit each other in combat, a behavior known as necking. Necking is used to establish dominance and can occur at low or high intensity. In low-intensity necking, the combatants generally rub their heads and necks together and then lean heavily against each other, while flapping their ears and rubbing shoulders, perhaps to assess their comparative weights. The winner of such a bout is the male that can hold itself more erect. I don't know, Daddy. Giraffes don't sound like much fun to play with, but I'd like to meet one someday just to point out that he's my daddy and I'm his favorite now. No sharing. Come back next week to find out about another of my stuffies, the elephant, and I'll be back on Friday for another chapter from Master Frisky by Clarence Hawkes.